Welcome to the T-Pac Arcade. Today's game is Star Strike for the Atari 2600 from the M Network collection. In this 1983 shoot-'em-up from Mattel Electronics, aliens are lining up their interstellar space station to launch a planet-destroying missile at the Earth. So naturally, it's up to you to set off in your starship and stop them. And how exactly do you stop them? Well, you bomb 8 alien missile silos in the space station trench. Why 8? I don't know. Seems like a nice round 10 would have made more sense, but Mattel must have had their reasons. And that's 2 less silos to worry about. A brief alarm sounds whenever a silo is about to approach, and if you dive low enough into the trench and press the action button at the right time, you'll drop a bomb to detonate it with a screen-shaking kerboom. Very satisfying. Unless it's a fake silo, sometimes an alarm sounds and all that appears is the shadow of a missile silo. Which is frustrating, because these tend to show up once you only have 1 or 2 real silos left to bomb. Not sure if these are silos you've already bombed, making a full circuit back through the trench, or they're just dummies to throw you off. Still frustrating either way. And it's even more frustrating because it wastes your precious time as the Earth is constantly moving toward the center of the screen. And if the Earth lines up with the space station before you bomb 8 silos, the next one to appear launches the planet-destroying missile, and you'll have no home to return to. Oof. Now, this bombing mission wouldn't be that much of a hassle, even with the time limit, if it weren't for the alien saucers and meteor missiles. Alien saucers follow your ship around from behind, trying to blast you with lasers, which drop your ship briefly with each hit, a little lower each time. Bad news if you're near the trench, because crashing into the space station will end your game right then and there. Fortunately, saucers don't stick around too long, and you can even destroy them if they fly ahead of your ship into firing range. You'll know this is the case if they get smaller and turn light blue. You don't get points for blasting them, but blowing up UFOs is fun, so why not? Now, meteor missiles zoom at you from the distance, and there's no shooting these down. You've just gotta dodge them as best you can. The default aimed missiles fly in your general direction, but the more advanced guided missiles zero in on your ship a lot more accurately. You don't blow up if they hit you, but your flight controls do get scrambled for a short period of time. Left could be down, up could be right, who knows? Just make sure you aren't pressing whichever direction sends your ship careening into the space station. Aesthetically, Star Strike definitely has some top-notch Atari 2600 graphics. It really sells the illusion of depth, with the scaling sprites and rolling stripes of the trench, and even keeps you well-oriented with the cast shadows. It's really amazing what some little pixelated drop shadows can do to heighten the visual presentation of a game. Plus, the blinking starfield and looming lower half of Earth are nice touches too. But the real graphical showcases of this game are the screen-shaking animations when you bomb a silo, and the awesome winning and losing cutscenes. If you win, the whole space station starts to scroll faster and faster, flashing different colors until it falls off screen out of orbit. Hooray! And if you lose, the Earth flashes different colors as it's hit by a space station missile, and disappears with a defeating boo-dee-doo. Having your entire planet destroyed definitely sucks, but you've gotta love those poignant 8-bit tones accentuating your defeat. That being said, the overall sound design is a little sparse for my taste. You've got some nice impact crashes and laser noises, but I wish there were some whoosh sounds for incoming meteor missiles or even an ambient engine hum from your ship. Granted, the deep, bassy rumble of exploding missile silos is just so great that it basically makes up for any audio critique I could possibly throw at this game. Now, I'd say there are 2 particularly novel aspects to Star Strike. One is the fact that taking a hit from missiles or lasers doesn't actually destroy your ship, but rather knocks it down or scrambles its controls. And the other is the fact that there's no scoring in this game whatsoever. It's entirely a win or lose scenario, which is super bizarre for an Atari 2600 game. But that's not a bad thing as far as I'm concerned, especially since winning isn't terribly difficult once you know what you're doing. See, Star Strike has 4 challenge settings. With both difficulty switches set to B, everything moves slower and the meteor missiles are aimed rather than guided. But with both switches set to A, everything moves fast, and you've got to deal with homing missiles. And naturally, the 2 combinations of A and B offer intermediate difficulties. But the weird thing is, I actually found myself having less trouble beating hard mode. Probably because the missile silos show up so much more frequently. So in the time it takes to bomb all 8, you're dealing with significantly fewer enemies than you would be in the more plodding easy mode. It's hard to pinpoint just one thing as my favorite aspect of Star Strike, because I think it really shines as a whole package. The graphics and sound, the mechanics and strategy, and even the variety offered by the difficulty settings. It's all just so well realized. The only thing I'd change here would be adding a counter somewhere on screen, displaying how many missile silos you have left to destroy. I usually lost count halfway through each round because my goldfish brain can't dodge meteors and tally silos at the same time. But overall, Star Strike is a seriously excellent and surprisingly unique space shooter, and what it may lack in replay value, it certainly makes up for in pure fun, as long as the Earth doesn't get destroyed by aliens. Oh, and a little addendum here. My copy of Star Strike is actually one of 4 games included in the M Network collection, so for the sake of comprehensiveness, I'll address the extra 3. First is Armor Ambush, a 2-player combat game where you maneuver a pair of tanks around the playfield to take out the enemy. The controls let you move forward with up, rotate with left and right, and switch between your 2 tanks with down. The action button fires, and it takes 3 hits to destroy a tank, with an understated but somehow incredibly satisfying You do get 25 tanks in total, and whenever both of a player's tanks are destroyed, that triggers a new round with a different configuration of terrain. Foliage and water slow you down, and barriers block your path altogether. In difficulty B, barriers block your shots too, but in difficulty A, your bullets can bounce off them, which can be helpful for nailing enemies at an angle, or it can end up backfiring as you're blasted by your own ricocheting projectiles. Especially since your cannon angle shifts with the recoil every time you shoot, which also means you're temporarily vulnerable as you line your tank back up. Not that that was much of an issue for me, since I didn't have anyone to play this game with, so I just roamed around blasting stationary enemy tanks at my leisure. That may or may not have hurt the fun factor, but at least it didn't burden my conscience, since I'm only blowing up empty combat vehicles and not my friends. Now, the final 2 games are Astro Blast and Frogs and Flies, which I actually already have episodes for, so go watch those. Or don't. There are probably much better uses of your time than listening to me endlessly ramble about video games. Anyway, that's Star Strike, and some other M Network goodness. Now go save the planet from aliens, or something.